Hi, I'm Andrew with Baker's Gas and Welding Supply. We're back here again with the new ESAB EMP 235. We have a special guest with John Mensch with us and from ESAB, and he's going to walk us through. So we got it out of the box and the unboxing, and he's going to walk us through the setup on this machine. So John?
Yeah. First thing you want to do when you get this out of the box is, lay out your parts. Just make sure everything's in there. We've never run into a situation where that stuff's not in there, but you're going to have your flow meter, your accessory kit, your ground clamp, your stick electrode holder, your MIG torch, your 10-pound spool of wire, a spare liner, some spare consumables, and a sample pack of Adamark 7018 Acclaim. And of course the machine. So on the machine now, on the front panel, you'll notice there's a couple things that are strapped on here. The very first thing, this is our positive lead that plugs into the front of the machine here. So what we want to do is remove the zip tie that's holding that on. And then here we've got this thing taped. It can be a little bit of a pain in the neck, so try not to use a knife on that. You don't want to cut this line. Try to tear it and just remove it like so. From here, just take your positive lead, and it's a twist lock, 50mm DINS connection. Carries a lot of current, so we just take that and do a twist lock into place, and that's all set up. Also on the front of the machine, you may notice if you turn this on, your screen could be blurry, so you want to take this plastic protective film off of here. Don't worry about your lens. We do have, if you were to scratch this down the road, we do have a replacement bezel for this machine as well that's available at Baker's Gas.
Very cool.
So inside the machine, there are a few items in here as well. What you're going to find is an owner's manual. Make sure you read that. There is some good information in here. If you don't want to read this and you want to look at do a quick setup, we do have a quick start guide. Very useful tool. It'll walk you right through setting up the entire machine, real quick and simple.
Okay.
It has set up specifically for TIG welding. On the back side here, well, we've got stick welding here. And then we have, on the other side, we have MIG welding.
So it covers all three processes.
How do you set up your gas regulator, your MIG gun, what your consumables look like.
Very cool.
Also, you're going to have a little USB stick in here. This has an owner's manual on it as well, so you can plug this into your laptop or whatever electronic device you have, and now we can plug it into some power. And while we're back here, on the rear of your machine, if you notice, there are a couple of gas ports. This first one here is for your MIG welding application. This is where you're going to hook up your 7525 if you're going to MIG weld short circuit. And then also on this one, we'll have, you notice there's a TIG torch and a spool gun. This is where you're going to hook up your straight argon for your TIG or your spool gun if you're going to weld some aluminum. And then also there is a on-off switch on the back. As you can see, it's got a nice little dust cover on it to keep it from getting any kind of metallic dust or grinding material in there.
Cool.
And on the back panel, you will see your ratings chart. This is a standard chart that will break down your duty cycle for multiple current applications, and whether it's stick, MIG, or TIG, it's all broken down in there. And then it also will tell you your input power. We actually would like about a 30 amp connection to your outlet for your 220 volt, and on your 110 volt, if you have a 20 amp line available, that would also make it a lot more beneficial for you when you're welding on a 110 volt application.
Okay.
Also, Andrew, here's our adapter plug to 110 volt. Here's same thing. It's got little protective bubble wrap on it to keep from scratching other items in the package. And basically how you use it is you just take your plug and you simply plug it into here. We're going to be MIG welding today, so let's connect our gas connection right up here to the MIG. You get that crescent wrench handy. And then this is a brass connection, so you don't want to torque on it too much. It's but get it nice and snug in there. Of course, if it's loose, you could end up with a little bit of a leak. But typically brass is a nice soft connection. It's gonna have a good seal on it. So from here, let's hook up our flow meter to the cylinder. We got our safety cap on here. Remember, when you're moving these cylinders around, to use this cap at all times. We don't want a chance of dropping this cylinder and busting off the valve. Same thing with this connection. It is brass to brass. We don't want to use no oil, no Teflon tape, and we just hand tighten it on at first, and then we use a crescent wrench to tighten it into place. All right, so we'll connect our gas supply to the machine. Again, brass on brass connection, no Teflon tape, no oil or grease.
Perfect.
And we're all set with the gas.
Okay.
So let's put the MIG gun on.
Perfect.
So now we're going to hook up the MIG gun. Real simple. You have to open up the panel. And we open up the drive stand in here. Also, I want to back out this thumb screw right here. What that does, that thumb screw holds the MIG gun inside of the drive stand. So from here, we're going to take the gun, and if you notice on the MIG gun, there are some orifices here on the power pin. On this power pin, there's also a couple of O-rings. So these O-rings allow the gas to flow through here and to keep it from leaking from outside of the connection. On the back of your gun, you've got an inlet for the wire. So for your welding wire, that's going to come into the gun. So when we put this in the machine, you want to make sure that this is connected, and if you can get a shot in there, you want to make sure that this is connected and that you get that gun pushed all the way in. There's been situations where I've run into people where they think they got the gun in all the way and it's not, and then we end up bleeding gas out of here rather than getting it through the gun, and then we don't get gas on our weld puddle. Yeah. So when you're installing the gun, please make sure that you've got it inserted all the way and it's a nice solid connection. And so now that we got the gun connected, let's go ahead and connect our trigger lead. And if you notice on the trigger lead here, there are a couple of different shaped cam locks in here. So it'll match the connection on the front of the power source. And all we do is get that situated in there and then just tighten down the collar. It'll lock into place, and that connection is solid. So on your machine, as you noticed in the unboxing video, we do have a number of drive rolls available that come with the machine. So one thing I want to point out here is there's depending on the wire diameter that you're using, you want to make sure that you have this drive roll set up correctly for that. And if you look at the drive roll, right here you will see a number, and that one actually says 0.035 or 0.035. So this will be set up for 035 wire. Whatever you're reading is the diameter that you will be set up for. So if I were to flip this around and I look at that readout here, it says 0.045. So that'll be set up for 045 wire if I put the drive roll in the machine in this position. On top of that, the drive rolls that we give you in the package, you're going to have a 0.030, or which we refer to as 030 wire, and this is for our V-groove solid wire, or it's a V-groove design for solid wire. And then on the other side, you're going to have a 0.024 or 024 for even smaller diameter wires. And then if we look at the next drive roll that's available, or that comes with the machine, we will have an 030 as well as an 035. And there is a little bit of oil on this to keep it from rusting in the package. And this is for our cord wire. And if you look at the grooves on here, they are we call these knurled. So these drive roll, or these grooves in here, will help grip a cord wire and feed it effectively. And again, another another knurled drive roller, and this drive roller will have your 045, and this one is 045 on both sides of the drive roll. Also in that package, you're going to notice these little keyways. This keyway, we give you 2 extra ones in the event that you lose them. This keyway is actually positioned on the wire feeder on the drive stand right here, and you could pop that out and put a new one in. Most likely you're not going to lose it. However, we give you extras just in case. Okay. So now we're running 035 wire right now. So I've got my drive roll set up for 035 as we discussed earlier. I'm gonna tighten down my thumb screw that holds on the 035 drive roll. My drive stand is open. I'm gonna have to take this the clip off of here that holds the spool in place. And then here's our spool of wire. This is the wire that comes in the package. This is that ESAB Aristo rod. Now, as you notice, this is a bare wire. A lot of people tend to confuse this with stainless steel. It is a bare ER70S6 wire used for all of your mild steel applications, a good majority of your mild steel applications. Very smooth running wire. It's available on Baker's Gas as a in case you run out and you need some more, they have it. So now you want to position your wire to where it's going to come off of the spool from the bottom. And if you notice, there's a little hole in the spool itself right here. And there's a small little locator on the spool holder itself. You want to make sure that that is slid into the back of the spool here. You just simply slide it on, and you can look through there and find it. And as long as you're rotating this hub with your spool on here, you know you got it in the right position. From there, install your spool holder clip, and it's a little tight, so just watch your fingers so you don't stab yourself. Alright, so now we're ready to feed our wire into the drive stand. Just clip your wire. There's going to be a bend on the end. You won't get that through the gun, so you want to clip this. And then just feed the wire through. And I tend to hold it in the groove and make sure it gets into the outlet guide. You feed about 1.5 feet or so into the gun. Put your clamp down and then set your drive roll pressure. What we're going to do is I'll show you how to set a correct drive roll pressure. I'm going to back the pressure off to start off, and usually I go back to about roughly the 2.5 range, and then on the scale here, 2.5 on the scale, and then we'll turn the machine on and we'll feed some wire through it and show you how to set your drive roll pressure correctly.
We're going to set the tension, but my question is on the industrial side of things. Can we put a 33-pound spool in this?
Yeah, we sure can. When we hook up a 33-pound spool, as you can see, the spool is a little bit larger width. What we do is we'll use this outside connector here to hold the spool in place. You want to make sure you have your correct drive roll diameter set up and everything like that, but yeah. Okay. It'll fit right in there.
Perfect.
Once we're in the home screen, you're going to see your smart MIG, your standard MIG. They call it MIG mag. MIG mag is actually it stands for, the acronyms for MIG mag are metal inert gas and metal active gas. The inert gas is your argon, the active gas is your CO2. So if you're using a 75-25 or 75% argon, 25% CO2, that's your MIG mag. This is a flux cord setting, and then as we scroll up, you'll see our stick electrode setting, and then our TIG setting. Whoops, our stick electrode setting, and then our TIG. Over here is our settings menu, and then this is a user's manual. Right now we're going to go into the MIG process, and let's set up our drive pressure for our MIG gun. And what I want to do is I like to turn up my wire feed speed to a significant level just to make sure that I am feeding wire forcefully. So, you know, about 300 to 350, 360 inches a minute is sufficient. So let's open up the panel, And from there, let's feed some wire into the gun. So before we feed that wire through the gun, what we want to do is we want to take the nozzle off, and we want to take this contact tip off, because the wire could stop at that point, and then you end up fighting with the whole process. So let's take the contact tip off. It just threads right on. Also, let's note our wire diameter on the contact tip. Now I kind of marred up the printing on there a little bit, but that is an 035 contact tip. So from there, let's feed our wire out. The machine will ramp up and you'll hear it kick up in speed, and that's basically it picks up after a certain amount of time. Hey, there's no arc, so it ramps up to high speed so that it'll feed the wire through for us. Oh, is it slipping?
Yeah, it stopped.
So the wire's slipping a little bit, so let's just tighten down our drive roll tension a tad. And there's our wire. So now at this point, you'll want to put your contact tip back on, thread it into place. And one of the biggest mistakes I see out there is people will just hand tighten that tip on there. Just make sure you take your pliers and you just snug it in place. That ensures that we're getting good current transfer through the gun to the contact tip. This is where all your current transfer occurs in the MIG welding process, is between the contact tip and the wire. Install your nozzle and then cut the wire down so that you don't end up scratching yourself while you're setting up your process. Just like so. So from here, let's get into setting our drive roll pressure. This is one of the biggest questions, is what is the best pressure to set at? Unfortunately, as drive rolls wear, the pressure number on your adjustment will be different throughout the life of those drive rolls. So one of the best ways to do this is to do the standard, I like to call it a curling test. So let's take our wire, and I'm going to hold the torch roughly 2 inches above the material. I'm going to bend that wire at a 90-degree angle here, and I'm going to feed the wire into, and make sure you are not this plate is not grounded. Use the floor, use something that the machine is not connected to. We don't want to try to weld at this point. So you see how that wire stops? That means that my drive roll pressure is just a little too loose. So I'm going to take and I'm going to give it one full turn. And that's about good for our pressure setting. We don't want it too tight. If it's too tight, we can deform the wire. Second of all, if it's too tight, I could end up with a bird nest inside the drive stand. In a bird nest, the wire just basically comes out of the drive stand and you end up having to clean up a little mess. So we should be set to go and ready to weld.
All right, thanks for watching our video, and give a special thanks to John Mensch from ESAB for bringing this brand new machine down here to give us a try. And once again, you can find this on bakersgas.com. Go online and check out the deals that they're running. They run promos all the time, Yeti cups, free shipping, that kind of thing. Thanks again, though, for watching, and stay tuned. I think we're going to have a part 2, and we're going to weld with this machine.